What you are seeing and hearing right now is nothing but a dream. You're dreaming right now in this moment. You're dreaming with the brain awake. Dreaming is the main function of the mind, and the mind dreams 24 hours a day. It dreams when the brain is awake, and it also dreams when the brain is asleep. The difference is that when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we do not have the frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly. Humans are dreaming all the time. Before we were born, the humans before us created a big outside dream that we will call society's dream, or the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet is the collective dream of billions of smaller personal dreams, which together create a dream of a family, a dream of a community, a dream of a city, a dream of a country, and finally, a dream of the whole humanity. The dream of the planet includes all of society's rules, its beliefs, its laws, its religions, its different cultures and ways to be, its governments, schools, social events, and holidays. We are born with the capacity to learn how to dream, and the humans who live before us teach us how to dream the way society dreams. The outside dream has so many rules that when a new human is born, we hook the child's attention and introduce these rules into his or her mind. The outside dream uses mom and dad, the schools, and religion to teach us how to dream. Attention is the ability we have to discriminate and to focus only on that which we want to perceive. We can perceive millions of things simultaneously, but using our attention, we can hold whatever we want to perceive in the foreground of our mind. The adults around us hooked our attention and put information into our minds through repetition. That is the way we learned everything we know. By using our attention, we learned a whole reality, a whole dream. We learned how to behave in society, what to believe and what not to believe, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, what is good and what is bad, what is beautiful and what is ugly, what is right and what is wrong. It was all there already, all that knowledge, all those rules and concepts about how to behave in the world. When you were in school, you sat in a little chair and put your attention on what the teacher was teaching you. When you went to church, you put your attention on what the priest or minister was telling you. It is the same dynamic with mom and dad, brothers and sisters. They were all trying to hook your attention. We also learn to hook the attention of other humans, and we develop a need for attention which can become very competitive. Children compete for the attention of their parents, their teachers, their friends. Look at me, look what I'm doing. Hey, I'm here. The need for attention becomes very strong and continues into adulthood. The outside dream hooks our attention and teaches us what to believe, beginning with the language that we speak. Language is the code for understanding and communication between humans. Every letter, every word in each language is an agreement. Once we understand the code, our attention is hooked and the energy is transferred from one person to another. It was not your choice to speak English. You didn't choose your religion or your moral values. They were already there before you were born. We never had the opportunity to choose what to believe or what not to believe. We never chose even the smallest of these agreements. We didn't even choose our own name. As children, we didn't have the opportunity to choose our beliefs, but we agreed with the information that was passed to us from the dream of the planet via other humans. The only way to store information is by agreement. The outside dream may hook our attention, but if we don't agree, we don't store that information. As soon as we agree, we believe it, and this is called faith. To have faith is to believe unconditionally.
beautiful, shadowy creatures. You are in good company, because I am a shadowy creature myself. Shadowy and light, as we all are. Okay. Hello. This is your hostess, Fluid Girl. Thank you so much for being here with me this evening to talk about a subject that seems to be more prevalent these days, especially with communicating in spiritual communities. And I believe that more people are just starting to understand that we all have shadow. So I will be discussing what that is, what it means, and how to work with it, how to embrace it, and how to understand that we are all shadowy. That's right, just like this mountain back here, even the mountain's shadowy. Yeah, the earth is shadowy. Right now here in Northern California, the sun is going down and it's getting dark, so there is shadows coming out. So, anyhow, welcome. I'm so glad that you all are here. Please pop on Twitch if you're on YouTube watching, or if you're on Facebook Live, twitch.tv/fluidgirl. This is where I do a lot of my communicating, and I just put a note in the comments, but in case you didn't read the comment, I am on a 20-second delay when it comes to streaming. It just helps align the video better. So if you post a comment or a question, please know that there is a little bit of a buffer of time before I will see it. So I ask for your patience and flexibility with that. So thank you for that. Welcome. I am your hostess, Fluid Girl. Thank you for joining. And if you are new to this night, Let's Get Spiritual, this is a night that I just started a few months ago. And for those of you that don't know me, I have been a spiritual teacher, a clairvoyant healer, energy healer, coach, workshop leader, speaker, that whole realm for quite some time. And also a performer. I've been doing dance and even healing performance through my art of dancing and singing for quite some time. And I also do sound healing. And recently I've been getting into DJing, which is another form of my healing work, because I do a guided meditation in the beginning of all of my DJ sets. I actually have a DJ set this Thursday, so not tomorrow, but the next day. It's called Fluidity, and I have some really beautiful music that I am excited to play on Thursday that's going to be really mood enhancing, mood uplifting, taking you on a beautiful journey. So I hope that you can join for that if you're into music. I usually play the house genre, so I'll be doing a little bit of progressive on Thursday and melodic house, and I think that you might enjoy it, so please pop on. Same channel. It'll be at 7:30 on Thursday, so please come and join us for that. And thank you to those of you that do come on Thursdays. We always have so much fun. We're like laughing and giggling, and I sometimes tell really bad jokes. But doing that a few times, and people seem to like it. It's a little giggle time. And I have my little dog Bella, who's sleeping down there. I may bring her up in a little bit. She's just a little bundle of love. She is white. She's not shadowy, but she does have a shadow too. So, as we all do. So anyhow, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time to talk about this really lovely subject of the shadow. So the shadow, the term the shadow comes from Carl Jung, the old philosopher, and it basically means the aspect of ourselves that we like to suppress, deny, hide, just basically not acknowledge. It's too dark. It's too intense. It's too, it makes me uncomfortable. Look at my body. It's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. So thank you for those of you who are participating tonight. And if you're watching pre-recorded, thank you. So we are actually, when we are born into this life, we come from Supreme Being, God, Goddess, whatever you call the All Creator. We come in whole, or like an egg. Imagine an egg that comes in. And then when we're born into certain families, certain cultures, traditions, what have you, it's like little pieces of our egg gets broken off and broken off and broken off. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just kind of what happens in this reality. It's a process of forgetting, right? So we come in knowing all this information, all of this. We come from such ultimate love and light. And then over time, different pieces of our egg will break off for belief systems or things that will happen, injuries, traumas, situations, belief systems, our caregivers that we're born into, these belief systems that will break apart and break off little pieces of our knowingness and our light, basically. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. This is what happens when we come to this dimension and this planet. It's part of what we're learning is to remember who we are, right? And to understand and remember that we're whole. Even the dark part of us is part of our wholeness. It's a beautiful aspect, and when we can learn to embrace it, to make peace with it, to understand it, and to see it and acknowledge it, it's very freeing. So that's what I am intending for all of you tonight, is to cultivate more freedom, more wholeness, the idea of understanding that we're all whole, and to support you with that as well. So that is my intention tonight. So let's go in, okay? And welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Okay, so we are born whole. We're broken apart little pieces, like a little egg, okay? And so the parts of ourselves that we don't want to see, witness, is the shadow. The parts that we don't want to admit to ourselves, the part that we hide from. You can imagine, the parts of you that you kind of shove into a closet. Like maybe some old clothing that you just don't want to wear anymore because it's just too tight on you or you can't fit, but you really love it so much you just can't let it go. So it's those types of things that we hide away and we tuck away and we just don't want to see, and that we reject, as well as how we're triggered, okay? The things that trigger us truly are shadowy, right? And the things that you are triggered by are actually beautiful ways that you can acknowledge a certain aspect of yourself that is calling to you. It's asking, it's like, hey, I'm here. So instead of pushing it away, shoving it away, tonight we're going to be looking at how we can look at it and support it and love it and nurture it and befriend it. So sometimes the shadow can be passed down lineages of ancestry. That's unfinished business from our past ancestors. And that can be sometimes pretty heavy to carry for certain people if you come from a cultural background that has a lot of ancestral baggage or heaviness or weighted past traumas or, situations that were very heavy for a lot of the ancestors. That can be something that feels literally tangibly heavy when you work with it. So if you decide to work with that kind of lineage and are working with that type of lineage, hats off to you. And I believe that a lot of the people that are born on the planet right now during this time, especially during my era, I'm going to be 45, so I don't know what the name of my era is. Some people's got anyway, I can't remember all the names of the eras, but I know for me particularly, I came into this lifetime to really work on my ancestry, and I have been very consciously committed to that. So, and I do know that a lot of other people that I've been talking to, and just kind of what's going on social media, there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of shadow work and a lot of ancestral healing. So again, hats off to all of us. We're doing some amazing deep work, and those of you who are here tonight or listening pre-recorded, you're doing the work. So hats off to you too. Okay, so some examples of some shadowy aspects, okay? Addictions, infidelity, molestation, abuse, low self-esteem, and again, these are just some examples. Consistent feelings of anger, resentment, and sadness, and depression. I mean, the list goes on and on. But these are definitely some shadowy aspects that, we want to suppress, deny, actually even embody as a personality, okay? And when our shadow is so shamed, it's so rejected, it's so disassociated from the wholeness of who we are, the wholeness of our being, it can actually become like its own personality. And in some, spiritual communities, they'll call it entities, they'll call it demons, they'll call it, a multiple array of different identities. But really, it's just a part of you, an aspect of you that's not whole, that's been suppressed, denied, and pushed away. And it can literally become so loud, metaphorically, that it becomes an actual personality, okay? So you can almost feel like you're taken over by this thing, okay? When in all truth, I believe personally that it's just an aspect of you that's been denied, that is yelling so loud at the top of its lungs that it wants to be seen, that it becomes really you on some level, that works itself through you. And until you become aware of it and have the consciousness around it, it, can really rule your life. So that's why doing shadow work is so powerful, because you can create more compassion and more freedom for yourself, which is ultimately, I believe, just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, yeah. Okay. So everybody has a shadow. Like I said, even animals, they got shadow. Okay. Everything that I believe that is on this dimension has a shadow, because this particular dimension is about contrast. It's, you have the light, you have the dark, you have the in-between, you have the light, the gray, the black. And the beautiful thing about that is that, for instance, if you take, a dark room, right, and you come in with a candle or a light, you're illuminating these aspects of yourself that want to be seen, that are a part of you, right? And so when you do this work, it is really about you cultivating more wholeness. And there's multiple ways that you can work with the shadow that we'll be talking about very soon here. And one of the ways that I actually worked with my shadow one particular time was, as I had mentioned before, I am a dancer and a healer. And I was a part of this theater show in Ireland back in 2013, I believe. 2014. And I was a villain. That's right. I was a character called Morrigan. And Morrigan is the goddess of war. She's the goddess of chaos. And I learned through my spiritual practices, and even some of the healing practices that I learned through my theatrical work, is that when you study a character, this character, there's no mistake that you become this character, because the character will bring out these aspects in you so you can become more of the character as an actor. And when I was working with Morrigan, I really understood the part of me that was very at war with itself, that was very chaotic, that all of the darker aspects of myself started coming up, right? And so I could embody her even more as the character of Morgan. And when I was on stage, I literally didn't feel like me. I knew something was moving through me, because I had worked on this and I had understood this character that was me too, and I was bringing her out, and boy, she was very powerful. I had a lot of people come up to me in the audience and just go, whoa, I don't know who that was, but that was a really crazy, powerful character. And I remember I did the show 3 times, and the third time that I did the character, so there was no spoken words in this show, other than there was an MC that had this amazing rhyming that he was doing to share the story. But in the third show I did, I had been this character so many times, and I really started to feel her. This cackle, this really crazy cackle came out. I just got chills. Oh, God. This really crazy cackle came out at the very end, like, because she was creating chaos, and she was enjoying what she was creating. And it was actually really fun being a villain. So, I'm going to mention one tool that you can work with relating to this story later on, that you can work with to bring out your shadow, to act it out and to perform it so you can actually see it, and then you can record yourself. It's going to be really fun. So anyway, the shadow can be whatever you want it to be. You can suppress it, you can deny it, or you can really have fun with it. And that's actually what I did. in that show. I mean, I was definitely going through my layers of shadowy stuff that was coming up. But since I had done a lot of work on myself and I was doing a lot of clairvoyant healing and I had, done many readings, so I knew when these types of things to come up, I had the awareness and consciousness like, oh yeah, okay, I need to look at that. Oh, okay, yep, that's dark, that's coming up. So it was a really beautiful healing for me. So I thanked Morrigan. Hi, Deb. I see you popped on. Hi, Deb. Welcome. So yeah, it's okay for you to have darkness. It's okay. It's okay for you to have a shadow. Like I said, we all have it. It's what do you do with it? How do you work with your shadow? Do you work with it or do you work against it? And what are you choosing? So I am offering you a different aspect of how to work with your shadow rather than against it, to suppress it and deny it. Okay, so that was a fun story. That was a really fun show. And if you're on the Facebook invite, I'll post a picture of Morrigan. She's like, ooh, such a powerful character, powerful goddess. I had an altar that I had put up in my room that I was staying in Ireland. I drew actually a picture of Morrigan, like I sketched it out. And I had a little coin box that I would put in coins, just thanking her for, coming through and stuff. And I would have these ravens that would kind of fly around me a lot. And I have a spirit guide as a raven. And I relate a lot to ravens. And I actually became really good at doing the raven call. I can do it really, really well. And anyway, so I would have ravens show up for me a lot when I was in Ireland too. And that's Morrigan. Like, she would come in. She was an interdimensional being. She's a goddess. And Raven was her bird. So, God, it's such a fun story. I relate, thinking about those memories. I'm like, oh, how powerful that was. Okay, so ways we avoid or deny our shadow. So being afraid to admit that we have one. That's right. Like, our poop doesn't smell. It smells like roses, right? Yeah, that's one way that we can suppress and deny it. You can be afraid of what you may see about yourself or how others see you or what you see in others. Those are ways that you can avoid or deny your shadow. Another way that has been coming up, I think, the past few years, it's a term, it's called spiritual bypassing. It's where you use your spiritual practices to positive think, and to completely jump over or bypass any sort of darkness or shadow that really is there to help you. So if you have a lot of sadness coming up or a lot of anger coming up or a lot of, darker emotions, and you're like, I don't want to feel it, positive, that's called spiritual bypassing. It's like you're not giving yourself an opportunity to really feel the wholeness of yourself, to really allow emotion, which is really energy in motion, to move through you. Okay? So spiritual bypassing is one way to do that. So I would just like to put it out there that, if you're someone that's going through a hard time, number one, bless you. Or if you have been going through a hard time for quite some time, I can relate. I had a recent experience where I was doing a meditation and I saw a very old, dark, shadowy aspect of myself, which was victimized, which I think a lot of us consciously have a victim. We don't even really realize it, which is I think it's a collective human victim that can pop up. And it popped up for me and I noticed it and it was like, oh my goodness, she's very angry. She's very sad. She's very this. This is the story that she runs in her head that proves that she's a victim. And I became an observer to it and I was just looking at it and her and going, wow, there she is. And I realized I had a lot of resistance to acknowledging her. And what I really realized I really needed to do was to make peace with her and to love her and to understand that this victim has been there to help me. She's been there to protect me, sometimes too much so. But she's been very angry because she hasn't been acknowledged. So when I understood that and observed it and, made a conscious decision to make peace with it, man, the freedom that came. And when you have that freedom, you end up having the space to create consciously. Right? So that's another thing to bring in as a reminder that the more space, the more freedom, the more peace you make with these aspects of yourself that are dark, that are shadowy, that it's really important to understand that you're really cultivating more freedom for yourself to create as a conscious creator. So to me, that's another exciting thing. Yay, thank you for following, Brooke. So great to have you on. Welcome, welcome. And if you're just joining, this is Fluid Girl for Let's Get Spiritual. Tonight we're talking about the shadow. So thank you for being here. Okay, so another way that we can suppress or deny the shadow is through narcissism. And the definition of narcissism is selfishness, involving a case of entitlement, a lack of empathy, and a need for admiration as characterizing a personality type. So this is a really beautiful example of when a shadow becomes like a personality, a narcissist, is that they have such a trigger, okay, that cultivates selfishness and a sense of entitlement, that they have resisted it and blocked it so much that it's become this personality, that if you were literally to unzip this costume of a narcissist, what would be there underneath all of that? It's an interesting meditation you can do. I used to do those meditations in my healing work where we would unzip the costume of a personality or even a person. You can actually do that in your dreams as well. If you see something that comes in it and you want to, if you're afraid of it, or you want to know, like, what is this thing that keeps popping up? Like if you have a reoccurring nightmare, go back into your dream visually and unzip the costume of it and see what's underneath it, because that's also shadowy stuff. And it's really interesting to see what's underneath the costume. Sometimes it's very surprising. Like for me, it's like, whoa, you're who? I can't believe it. And it's really enlightening because a little tool for you to do as well. So narcissism is a way. And projecting our stuff onto other people, blaming, shaming, judging, not fully owning our issues of self-sabotage and selfishness. That's definitely ways that we can, deny and suppress the shadow. So I know that this is kind of a heavy topic, so let's all just take a deep breath together. Yeah, shadowy. Let's get shadowy. All right. Okay. Now, and it's funny, before I move on, I was thinking, I've done so much theatrical work. I was like, man, I really missed out on an opportunity to dress up as a character for you guys tonight. I could have been Morrigan. I could have been some sort of fun, shadowy character. So I'm going to keep that in mind the next time that I do a talk for Let's Get Spiritual. I'm going to become a character just to make it more fun and more, just to give it a new texture. So I'm going to do that. So if you'd like me to do that, make sure to post a little comment so I would know who would be on board for a shadowy character, some kind of fun character to come into Let's Get Spiritual. For those of you that know me, you know that I do theatrical work, so I would love to do something fun like that for you. So I'll mental note that one. Okay, so some questions to ask yourself to check in about your own shadow. A few things that have popped up already is, what are your biggest triggers? What is the thing that triggers you the most in other people? That is usually a wonderful time for introspection and self-reflection. Because when you're pointing, guess how many fingers you got pointing back at you? 1, 2, 3, right? So it's a wonderful way for you to take a look at yourself and to go, okay. Now, if I'm really triggered by this person, if they cut me off while I'm driving, and maybe road rage is one of your triggers, what is it in me that is so angry? And maybe I feel a little bit victimized. And where does that come from? That came from me being a child, being really neglected by my parents or my caregiver, or, whatever comes up for you. So, and then you can start to do the conscious shadow work. And then when you start to understand where these things come from, who they come from, the influences even, you can then start to desensitize the trigger. The trigger doesn't get pulled so quickly. It's like, oh, let me think about that first. Oh yeah, I already did some work on that. Okay, let me pull my finger off the trigger, right? So something to consider, looking at your biggest triggers and where they came from, okay? And then kind of the similar question is like, what are the things you like least in other people? So if you're someone who doesn't like, that person's so selfish, that person is so this, look at the ways that, you could be a little selfish. the way that, you could be this or that. And again, where does that come from? Does that characteristic, again, live within you? Can you think of an example even of when you did something similar? So if you, have a trigger with people who are very selfish, when were you selfish to someone else? Or maybe even this person, right? Again, self-reflection. Another question to ask yourself is, what are you most afraid of? So if you're really afraid of, let's say this is a big one for a lot of people, myself included, even though I do it, it's still like, it's public speaking. So what is it that you're so afraid of relating to public speaking? Is it about you using your voice? Is it about you being seen by many people? Is it about you being rejected, booed off stage? What are these things that you're actually really afraid of? And where does that come from? What kind of stories run this fear? And is that fear true? Is it really, really true? Like, can you prove it? I don't know if I'll get booed off the stage. I wouldn't know until I try, right? So these are some things to consider moving forward. And what do you think or feel that you are owed, right? This person owes me for this. I'm owed this because da-da-da, right? So these are also shadowy aspects. And where do you feel the most disempowered in your life? Again, AKA triggered. So those are some things to sit with, to journal about, to meditate on. I mean, you can even talk to a close friend or even a therapist if you have a therapist about some of these questions, because these are really good ways to get clear on some things that might be holding you back, that might be holding you back from your greatness, from your evolution, okay, from more wholeness again, okay? All right. So when should we do shadow work? When? Well, some examples. When repetitive patterns show up that just don't feel good anymore, okay? Like recently I've been working on, like I said, that victim story, and the other day I was getting so sick of myself. I'm like, that's when you're about to hit the end, when you just get so sick of feeling this way. And literally the words, like so sick of, it literally starts to make you sick. Your words are powerful, by the way, and how you use them. Your body listens to everything that you say. Little footnote there. But yeah, so what are these repetitive patterns? And why don't they feel good? Where does that come from? Okay, that's some time to do some shadow work. Okay, when you're done feeling disempowered, when certain bad things keep happening to you, around you, like some people say, I'm cursed. That again, in my experience, is a victim story that's running, because you're giving your power away. Anytime that you feel cursed, you're literally giving your energy sources away to a person, to a situation, to a past experience, when really all you have right now is the present moment or your future, something that you can focus on that makes you feel really good, okay? So the idea of being cursed, I believe, in my experience, is that you are just running a very disempowered past experience that you haven't really worked on yet, you haven't acknowledged, you haven't really dove into, that is creating a lot of, like you feel like you're in jail, right? So this would be a wonderful time, especially if you feel like you're cursed, to do shadow work, okay? And I'm going to be talking about different ways that you can do shadow work, okay? And then when you tend to be drawn to being a victim, so if you keep getting into certain scenarios where you feel victimized, and you're like, why do people keep stealing things from me? Or I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. And again, when it becomes awareness, that's probably when the shadow's like, hi, I need your attention so we can work on this, so I can be integrated with you, so we can become more whole, okay? When unhealthy behaviors now become conscious, alcoholism, drug addiction, those are shadowy aspects, okay? Or in some cases, when an illness occurs, okay? So again, when illness occurs, when I used to work with people that had cancer, years and years ago, doing my body and energy work practice, the people that had cancer, they were really working with a lot of unresolved anger, unresolved sadness, basically things that were unresolved. And I would take them into the area that would have the Cancer visually, and we would acknowledge and confront and look at the memories, look at the stories that they were saying, etc., etc. And that would be shadow work, okay? So illness is a real strong aspect of the shadow going, hey, really, come talk to me. We need to talk, okay? All right, and why would I want to do shadow work? What are the benefits? Like I've already talked about a few. Freedom, right? When you face your anger, you create better boundaries. Okay, so if you're really angry, that could be a part of you that's asking for better boundaries, right? Or when you're feeling victimized, you want to feel really empowered, okay? So those are the benefits. Having more balanced relationships with other people, that's a benefit that you would have from doing shadow work. More conscious choices that feel lighter and more empowering. So in some cases too, you use your voice more, you show up more, you do things out of the norm of what you're used to. So for instance, if you are running a victim story, or you're aware of that, and you're working on yourself, you're talking to a counselor, you're just doing some inner work, and you start to move this out, you may start to notice like you start actually doing more actions or having different people in your life that are more empowered. Because as you've changed, your experience, your environment, and how you react or respond to your environment or the people in your life shows you that you've changed. So doing shadow work can bring sometimes really major change. Sometimes people, when they have overcome addictions, then when they've done their shadow work, they literally will move to new areas. They will completely let go of all of the friends that were associated with that did drugs, and they will, or alcohol or whatever. And again, this is just an example. And they will have a whole new group of people that they will be connecting with that are aligned more with where they are, okay? So there's benefits to a new life in some cases, sometimes dramatically new lives. Or in some cases when you're doing I would say kind of minor shadow work, you just respond to your environment differently, okay? You maybe are less reactive, less in the same patterns that just don't feel good to you anymore, okay? So and again, this is just a few ways that there are benefits to shadow work. But if there's anyone that wants to mention other ways that they have had benefits doing shadow work, please post it in the comments below, because we all learn from each other. Okay. And then how to do shadow work. Okay, number one, listening to this talk is part of it, okay? So thank you for being here. Thank you if you're listening or watching pre-recorded. And meditation, a really wonderful thing. Self-healing, any kind of books, which there's one book that I will mention that I really learned a lot from, that I'll mention later. And we will be doing a guided meditation together. I love guided meditation. And I have a guided meditation on my website. It's called The Body's Wisdom. My website is grovecirclehealing.com. And you can look up the healing, look the healing, but look up the meditation there. It's only $10. You can do more shadow work with that particular meditation as well. It's a guided meditation. You can get a psychic reading from me. That's right. I am doing readings again, hour sessions. So if you would like to communicate with me about that, an inquiry, just email me at grovecirclehealing@gmail.com, and we'll discuss that moving forward. Let's see what else. So one way that I did a lot of shadow work was doing plant medicines. Ayahuasca, kambo, the frog medicine, and even bufo, the Sonoran toad medicine. So plant medicines are a beautiful way to do really intensive, deep shadow ancestral work. Thank you, ashe aho, to the plants. So that's a definite key, okay, to unlocking some deep shadow work if you feel like you want to work with the plant medicine community. And if you do, please let me know. I am very connected in that world, and I can send you connections for that, okay? Going to a counselor, a therapist, even a healer, an energy healer, getting Reiki, getting acupuncture. I know an amazing acupuncturist in San Francisco, my dear friend Ani Rael. She's incredible. Let me know if you need her contact. And journaling is a wonderful way to work on your shadow. Some people like to do breath work. So there's many ways that you can do breath work. You can do a type of breath work that's called rebirthing. It's a technique that I actually did in my holistic health program back in 2009. And it's a breath work that actually comes from the womb. It's when you're breathing in the womb, you're like, right? And if you do this for about 20 minutes, don't do this on your own unless you have somebody with you, because it can be very deep work. And, if you don't have someone there with you, it can be kind of scary because the work can take you very, very deep. Breath is can be an untapped, crazy way that you can do really deep, shadowy work, okay? But anyway, the rebirthing technique of breath work was incredible. You go back into the womb and you can visit different ways that you have shadowy aspects that you're born into, that you actually felt from your own mother in the womb. Really, really powerful. But breath work in general, literally, if you just breathe into your body, okay, and we'll do this a little bit in the meditation, into different aspects of where you feel your shadow kinesthetically in your body, can be really powerful. Okay, you can find colors and textures when you're breathing in. You just track it in your body. Ooh, I feel that shadow aspect. Oh, it's in my left hip. And oh, it feels like charcoal gray. And you can just kind of breathe into that area and acknowledge it and soften it into this silky texture. That's some of the techniques that I do with the guided meditations. And we'll do a little bit of that tonight in the guided meditation. So those are a few things. And then the last thing I wanted to mention about a technique that you can do to acknowledge your shadow is when I was talking about the story earlier of when I became the character Morrigan in the dance theater show and I was a villain. You can write down who your shadow is. Who does he or she remind you of? Is it the Joker from Batman? That type of thing. It can be actually a character that everybody knows, or you can actually see your character. You can find goddesses or gods online that represent an aspect of your shadow, and you can write down his or her character traits that are like yours. And then you can dress up as him or her, okay, and act them out. You can, if you don't want to do this with anyone, you can literally just videotape yourself, okay? Speak as that person. Speak from the trigger. Speak as to why you're triggered. Where does this come from? Why it's right, why you're righteous, whatever comes through for you as this dark character, this shadowy character. And you can act it out. You can write up some dialogue, okay? And then when you watch it back, oh, it's so cool to actually see. And sometimes if you embody this character well enough, you will not see you anymore. You will see that dark, shadowy aspect. Okay. And this might be something that you want to develop more of, that you maybe have so much fun with it. Maybe you want to act it out for other people, or you want to basically just do it for yourself. Maybe you decide to post it online. You don't know what can happen with all this. Okay. And who can benefit from you doing this type of thing if they watch it or, you put it out there. So just a little caveat for you there. I've done this before. It's really powerful, and it can be really helpful and beneficial for you and other people, because we, again, like I said, we all got shadow, okay? All right. And now, stories of how I worked with my shadow. So I would say I was pretty darn shadowy for most of my life, and I still am, of course, and I'm happily so. But for me, when I really started to do my work, my shadow work, was when I went to psychic school. When I went to the Berkeley Psychic Institute in the early 2000s, I started to see all my stuff coming up because I was looking psychically at other people and then getting the reflections of that. Oh yeah, I need to look at that. Oh yeah, I see this and that. But ooh, and then I would feel something in my body go, oh yeah, that's you too. And so I really started to learn about who I was, where it came from. It was a really beautiful journey for me. And then when I went into bodywork school and energy work school, and started to work with other clients, okay? And when I did my holistic health program, I really went into shadowy stuff then and really helped people with their shadow, therefore helping me with mine. So if you decide to go into the healing arts at all, that will definitely be a way that you can work with your own shadow and other people's shadows. And it's beautiful when you can do work like that, because you help so many people and it helps their lineage. Any kind of healing work that you do sends out a ripple not only to your lineage through all dimensions of time, but through the collective energy that we're all a part of, the oneness, the creator, and humanity. Okay, so know that you listening to this work tonight, we're doing work, beautiful inner work, that you're sending ripples out and you're supporting yourself and also other people that are connected to you and that are also connected to this type of thing. So thank you for doing this work. And as I had mentioned, plant medicines. This is a way that you can work with your shadow if you feel called to that type of work. And then there's a book that I read that was really powerful for me. And the title kind of threw me off. But then I was like, ooh, okay, maybe I really need to read this book. And it's totally not what it is, but it is. It's called Feeding Your Demons. And it was this woman who wrote this book. I think she was a Buddhist. And she offered you the perspective of, when you are witnessing your demon, you feed it. But you feed it from a place of infinity, because truly we're all infinite. We're not limited unless we only give ourselves permission to be limited in our mind, right? So you can feed your demon. She talks about this meditation that you can do where you will see your demon outside of you. You'll see it as a character. You'll look at it very detailed, and then you'll become the demon. Like you kind of switch roles and you become the demon as if you're talking to yourself, and the demon will tell you what it wants, what it needs. And then you pop out and you come back to yourself and you feed it. Let's say, if the demon says, I want all of your energy, I want all of your love, I want all of your this, you feed it that until it starts to dematerialize into an ally, which is so freaking cool. So then as you have fed the demon, or your shadow, okay, you have integrated it, and then you can create it to be an ally, which cultivates wholeness. So if you're interested in reading books, that one is a really good one. Feeding Your Demons, okay? I don't remember the author's name, but you'll find it, okay? And the last one is Self-Healing Practices with Meditation Tools, which is what we will be doing very soon here with the guided meditation. We're going to be doing a self-healing practice with this guided meditation tool. Okay? So that is the talk that I wanted to share right now. So before we go into the meditation, I just want to open it up to questions. So I know there's a 20-second delay, so I'm just going to type that in really quick into the chat. So one moment. That way you guys get the message instantly rather than the 20-second delay, okay? And if no one chimes in and wants to say anything, it's all good. We'll just go into the meditation. So in the interim, while I'm kind of waiting for people to comment or, come in and say anything, we're going to be doing a guided meditation, okay, where we're going to be integrating the shadow and creating and cultivating wholeness. And I'm going to be walking you through this particular exercise, okay? And we're going to find the shadow wherever it is in your body right now, okay? Kinesthetically, we're going to track it and find it. We're going to find a color, a texture, and emotion, okay? And then we're going to go into a visualization where you create a tiny, tiny version of yourself. So you kind of shrink yourself down visually so you can actually go into this color and texture and emotion, and you create a room. And then we're going to find your shadow there, okay? And we're going to see what it looks like. Now, again, it could be a being, it could be a person, it could be you, okay? Just allow it to be however it shows up for you. So if it's an animal, it could be like a caged animal, okay? Like having your shadow rejected is like putting an animal in a cage, okay? So if you see an animal, that could be what pops up for you. And again, it could be something else. So and this will change, it can change, okay, reoccurringly if you decide to do this meditation over, you want to cultivate it as a practice, it could change, okay? So be open to how it changes, because as you change, it will change. It's the beauty of change, right? Always moving, always shifting, always moving. So we'll talk to it, okay? And while we're in here, before we go into the room of the shadow, since it can be a little kind of maybe scary for some of you to do this work, which understandably so. I mean, doing the shadow work is never easy. For some people it might be, but I would say for most people it's a little nerve-wracking. It's okay. We're going to create a protection bubble. It's a psychic tool, and I'll talk to you about what this bubble looks like and how to put yourself in it. And so when you do go into the shadowy aspect, you'll feel totally protected, and that you'll actually be able to see this thing through a place of compassion. And then we're going to talk to your shadow. We're going to get information about it. We're going to integrate it. We're going to befriend it. Okay? And then we will allow it to integrate, and then we'll move right on through it. Okay? So I don't see anyone having any questions or comments or anything yet, so that's great. No big deal. Let's go into the meditation. And if you're just joining, welcome. I am Fluid Girl. This is Let's Get Spiritual. And this is a night where we're talking about the shadow, the dark aspects of ourself that we want to suppress, deny, not acknowledge, basically tuck away, shove away, don't. Okay? So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're listening pre-recorded or if you're popping in now, welcome. And we're about to go into a guided meditation. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick drink of water. Your throat can get very dry when you're talking so much. Okay, so if we're all ready to do some guided meditation, let's take some deep breaths. I'm going to slow my voice down a little bit and turn up the music. Go ahead and find a place to get comfortable. You can be sitting up with your feet flat on the floor, or you can lie down. And then in this place of comfort, as you situate your body, if you need to stretch a little bit or get your body adjusted to comfort, you can just take a few deep breaths. And just be with your body for a moment. Acknowledging how it might feel right now. If you've had a hard week or a hard holiday weekend here in the United States, or maybe just a day that was kind of crazy, just breathe into that. Acknowledge any emotions that are there from that. That may be frustration or anger or sadness, or even if it's not an emotion, if it just feels heavy or like stress. Again, these are shadowy aspects. Just breathe and acknowledge it. Or if anything has come up for you during this talk, any memories or things that were uncomfortable, just allow it to be in your body right now and to feel through it, the discomfort, if any. And take a nice, long, deep breath, just breathing into your spine, up to the crown of your head, and then down your spine into the earth. Let's do that a few times. So breathing down from the earth up into the spine, spinal column up to the crown of the head, crescendoing at the crown of the head and going down the spine into the earth. One last breath, bringing it in from the earth, up through your spine, all the way up into the crown of your head and crescendoing at the head, at the crown, and then breathing it down and out, bringing in more relaxation and presence into this moment. Okay, so fine-tuning your awareness right now. I want you to use your intuition right now to track your body and to allow your awareness to take you into any aspect within your physical being that feels like the shadow is there. And it's usually the first place that you have your attention drawn. So just go there immediately and place your awareness there. And take some deep breaths into that specific area. And if there was a color in that area that represents the shadow, what color would it be? And it's usually the first thing that pops into your mind. Just feel the color. And if there were a texture to this color, what would the texture be? Could be spiky, or like charcoal, or like a rock, or like a misty shadow, as some examples. And just breathe into that color and texture. And now that you have the color and the texture, what is the emotion that's there? Sadness, joy, anger, anything that's related to an emotion. And again, it's usually the first thing that pops into your head. And when you have that, breathe into the volume of that color, that texture, and that emotion. Okay, so now we have a color, a texture, an emotion. And so now I want you to create a little tiny miniature version of yourself that can pop right in to that texture and that color. And as you're inside of this texture and your color and the emotion, it's a room. And as you're in this room, start to look around. Are you somewhere that you recognize? Is this a new place? Is it in nature? Is it somewhere you've never been before? Are you in another dimension? Are you in a past life? Just whatever you're picking up on, just acknowledge it. Or if you're not feeling anything, that's okay too. Just know that you're still doing the work by listening to the words. And take a deep breath. Okay. So before we start to move around in this room a little bit, let's create that safety protection bubble so you feel okay to do this work. So I want you to imagine yourself immersed in this beautiful bubble of gold light, okay? It's a protection bubble. It can be any texture you want it to be. It can be made of steel, it can be made of bricks as a texture, but it's gold, okay? And gold is a color of healing and neutrality and the observer. So just imagine that that color is surrounding your entire body from the top to bottom, from left to right, from in and out. You're completely immersed in this protective bubble. And inside of this bubble, you now have even more better eyesight, and especially intuitive eyesight, of clarity, of the vision of compassion, of understanding, and the intention of becoming whole with this shadowy aspect of yourself. And if you want to take it a little step further with your intuition, you can kind of feel around in your imagery, the bubble. You can feel the top, the bottom, the back, the front. Does it feel like it's protective? And if you need to make any adjustments, like if you need to make one side a little stronger, just imagine that with your intuition that you do this and it's effortless. It's just the minute you acknowledge it, boom, it needs to be stronger. It becomes it. Okay, so moving on, you are now inside of your protective bubble in your room or place, wherever your shadow is. And I want you to notice now that your attention is being drawn to where your shadow is. And you notice that there's this closet, even if it's in nature or you're somewhere you've never even been or you're out in the cosmos somewhere. Imagine that you see the imagery of a closet. And it's this closet that has been shut for a long time. And you go over there gently. And you reach out. And you touch the doorknob with full compassion and acknowledgement that you're ready to integrate and to see and to witness the shadow. And you open the door. And you look inside with the eyes of compassion and understanding and clarity, also feeling very protected. What is it that you see in there? Is it a being? Is it an animal? Is it a shadow, literally like a shadowy being? Just try and see what its eyes look like. Can you see its eyes? What color are they? How big is its head? Or small? And what about the ears? Does it have ears? What do the ears look like? And then the neck and the shoulders and the upper torso, the hands, the arms, what do they look like? And then the legs and the lower torso. Does it have legs even? Does it have feet, toes? If so, what does it look like? And as you're witnessing this being, this entity, this shadow, this animal, whatever you're seeing, how do you feel when you're looking at it? And even through the eyes of the observer, what do you notice about the shadow? What does its body language look like? Does it look mad? Does it look sad? Does it look disempowered? Or how does it look? Again, through the eyes of compassion, understanding, and observation. No judgment, just observing. And if this being were to have a voice, this entity, this shadow, what would it be saying to you? What does it need? Take a deep breath. And you can ask this being, why haven't you been looking at it? Why haven't you been acknowledging it? And again, not through any judgment, but through observation. How is this being actually helping you right now? And now, as you've acknowledged the shadow, this being, this aspect of you, Let's imagine that this being is actually a costume. And then this being actually unzips itself. It unzips. It has a zipper that comes from the top of the head that unzips from the head, the face, the torso, all the way down, and a costume completely falls away. And what are you seeing underneath this costume? Does this person look like you? What's underneath the costume? Did it even change? And take a deep breath. And again, how is the shadow or this being that was even underneath this costume, or not under a costume, how is this being an aspect helping you and serving you? And take a deep breath again, acknowledging any messages that you got from this shadowy aspect. Any awakenings or epiphanies or awarenesses that you now have. Thank it. Thank it for coming through, for showing itself. And now you can ask it, how can you befriend it? How can you create an ally out of it? How can you love it more? How can you allow it to come out in a way that feels safe to both of you? And what can you feed it that will make it nourishing for both of you so you both feel empowered and acknowledged and integrated? Take a deep breath. You guys are doing wonderful work. And after you've spoken to your shadow, if you want to integrate it now more, imagine putting your hand out as an offering of friendship, of integration, and allowing any epiphanies and enlightenment and messages to come through you into your heart. And you can put your hand on its heart and to integrate it with breath, with light, and with an acknowledgement that you are now welcoming it to your heart to be whole, a whole part of you, creating more freedom, cultivating more light into the shadow aspect. Feeling lighter and freer. And even more compassion for yourself, more love for yourself in this moment regarding this aspect. And now you're noticing that the closet is disappearing around you. That the room itself is disappearing around you. That you are now bathed in this golden light, swirling around your body, swirling tightly now around your spine, going into your heart, going into all of the cells of your body, going into the strands of your DNA and cultivating integration, healing your ancestral lineage from any shadowy aspects that you've just acknowledged. And take a deep breath with this acknowledgement that you've done really deep ancestral work just now. can place your hand on your heart or on your belly and just thank yourself for being willing to do this work tonight, for sitting in some discomfort so you can cultivate more freedom, more joy, and more acknowledgement of the wholeness of your being and the shadow. And now coming back into the room that you're in the physical space, slowly touch your body, stretch a little bit, wiggle your fingers and your toes and come back into this physical space that you're in. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes gently. Okay, good work, everyone. I could sort of intuitively feel, this is kind of what happens when I do these guided meditations on this talk, is I can feel people working on stuff, and you guys are really going in, so congratulations. I feel truly privileged and honored to be able to support you tonight in doing this work. And like I said, as you do this work, you not only help yourself, but you help lineages through all time and all space, also humanity overall, and the people that you're connected with. You send out ripples to them. So congratulations, and thank you for doing this work. It helps us all elevate. Yes. So if anyone has anything to share, please feel free to post a comment, and I will talk a little bit to just give some time and space, because I do have that 20-second delay. So as I had mentioned, if you like doing work like this, I have a guided meditation on my website, grovecirclehealing.com. I have one meditation on there because I'm working on other ones, and I will be adding more stuff to my website later. But it's called The Body's Wisdom. And it's a very similar technique where you find a color, you find a texture, you create a little miniature version, you go into that area of your body. And it's a really wonderful meditation that can actually be helpful for shadow work. It's not this specific meditation that we did tonight, but it's very generally the same. So if you want to get that meditation, it's only $10 and you can download it on my website. And I walk you through how to do it. I think it's about 15 minutes long. It's really wonderful. And then you can actually cultivate this practice in a normal meditation practice, if that's something that you feel inspired to do. My dog Bella, she keeps coming to me. I think she's ready to get out, so I'll lift her up for a minute so you guys can see her. Here she is, little Bella. Isn't she the cutest? Oh, Bella. She's like, Mom, okay, you've been talking for a while. I'm bored. I need to get out of here. Let me out. All right, just give me some cuddles, huh? This will blast out any shadow stuff right away, huh, Bells? You sniffing? She's sniffing the microphone. Anyway, I'm going to put her back down. Hold on one second. So it doesn't look like anyone has any comments, which is fine. But if you guys have anything that you want to talk to me about, feel free to message me if you're connected with me as a friend on Facebook or Instagram. Or you can email me at grovecirclehealing@gmail.com, and I can converse with you about something that came up in your meditation if you want to. Or if you want to book a reading with me, please do. grovecirclehealing.com is my website if you want to do a guided meditation, as I had mentioned. Or if you want to email me, grovecirclehealing@gmail.com to book a reading. We would set up a consultation call first, talk about your needs, and then go into what we can do to support you and how my readings go. So either way, thank you all for being here. Thank you for getting shadowy with me tonight. And if you're into music, and, Deb said it was interesting. Nice, Deb. You can talk to me about it later, how your meditation went. Okay. So, if you are into music and dance and you want to come hear some music with me, Deb usually comes. You can pop on and say something about it, Deb. My fluidity set, which is this Thursday at 7:30, this channel, Okay, twitch.tv/Fluid Girl. But if you follow me on YouTube, it's going to be live on YouTube, or if you're friends with me on my personal Facebook page, you're going to get a live stream there as you did tonight, all the same thing. And I'm going to be playing some really beautiful music on Thursday. And I always start my DJ sets with a guided meditation. So I haven't decided what my guided meditation will be yet, but it's not going to be shadowy. We already did that tonight. But I invite you to go back to this talk if you want to dive in deeper a little bit more. There may have been some things that I had mentioned that you may have not picked up in the talk, so you can go back and revisit it later, and you can do the meditation later. It'll be on my Twitch channel for 2 weeks, but I've been loading all of my Let's Get Spiritual talks on my YouTube channel. So find me on there. It's Chris Young Ginsburg, which is my YouTube, and it has most of my Let's Get Spiritual talks on there. So if you want to revisit some of my older talks, I talk about a lot of really fun things. Oh, thanks, Deb. Deb says, so enjoy the music. Thanks, Deb. Yeah, feel free to go on there and check it out on YouTube. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday for my Fluidity DJ set. So much fun. And again, if you want to have any spiritual support, let me know. I will be doing another Let's Get Spiritual. And I usually do them in about a month. So if you have a topic that you want me to share, please post it in the comment or send me an email. I love hearing from people around what to talk about, because the more I hear from you, the more I can support you. So let me know, okay? Or if you have an event that you're doing, if you're a promoter and you want to hire me for a workshop, please. I love teaching workshops to larger groups of people. That's my medicine. I really love it. And I also do sound healing experiences where I have shamanic drums and guided meditations, sound bowls, medicine songs that come through that are channeled. So if you want to hire me for that, please let me know. You can reach me again at grovecirclehealing@gmail.com. Otherwise, thank you all so much for being here tonight, for spending time with me, sharing your time, which is, for me, the true value these days. So I hope that you all enjoyed the evening. I hope that your meditation was powerful. And if you want to dive deeper into the shadow and you want to do a clairvoyant reading, please reach out. I'm here for you. And I look forward to seeing you, if I don't see you on Thursday, in another 4 weeks for Let's Get Spiritual. If you are on my Twitch channel, just pop the follow button. And, thanks, Deb. Deb says the music is very uplifting and great energy. Thank you, Deb. But if you want to follow me on Twitch, just pop follow and you'll get little automatic notices when I pop online so you can see what I'm up to. So yeah, I hope to see you on Thursday. If not, I'll see you in a month for Fluidity. Again, thank you so much for being here. It was such an honor and pleasure to do some shadow work with you all. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a beautiful evening. And again, thank you for your time and for being here for Fluidity with me, Fluid Girl.